guys, the anatomy of an acquisition. So, on one side, we have our friend Phil. He is a business owner and he's facing a recession. And here we have Marco. He is an acquirer, he is an investor, he is a hunter, he's experienced and has way more hairs than poor little Phil here. As you can see, dollar hairs, let's call them. So, the anatomy of a profitable acquisition is obviously made way more during recessions than in normal times. Let's say poor Phil here. Poor Phil has various employees. Um, he's been drastically affected by the recession. So there's been a toxic domino effect that has fell over his business, aka clients leaving, aka Phil not having a prospecting system that's able to bring him consistent leads, aka not being able to meet payrolls, aka not he hasn't saved much. Um, his business is in trouble. You know, he rode the waves of the good times for the past 10 years and he thought it was a good businessman until the recession hit. And poor Phil has a daughter to feed, actually, two daughters, and both go to private school. And imagine now that he is falling short of 10K for their daughters to go to school. Phil cannot borrow from the bank as well. He's tight, has been margin called, and he's like, well, crap, I don't know what to do by then. And that's where Money Marco comes in. Phil has a good business though. Like everything considered equal, still has some clients paying him. He doesn't want to let go of his people as well, whether that's from an ego perspective, whether that's from an identity perspective of him as someone that provides to various employees. And Money Marco comes in, you know, like Phil has a cool business, everything considered equal. Uh, and he's desperate for money and for an exit and also probably for an identity keeping, that identity that he's a successful entrepreneur and that he actually has exited the business and made money out of it, and that he hasn't lost. You know, he loves winning, wants to protect his ego. And normally his business is worth a good 10 mils. um, But Money Marco here comes in and say, "No, bud, your business is only worth 2 million. Um, with what you're telling me, right?" So the business normally has a valuation of 10 million, not during recession, and Marco is like, "Yeah, I'll provide the 2 million," and Phil is like, "But what the fuck? That will only cover like a part of the payrolls that I own, and everything considered equal, I'll make like 200K on this business." And Marco is like, "Yeah, dude, but that's my offer, you know." So Phil is pretty much desperate, and when you're desperate, you do stupid things, and when things are done in a hurry, you don't make good decisions. So he's off to try to find other buyers, and just by doing that, he's shooting himself in the foot. You know, he's not spending time on his business, and things only get worse in his business. So it's like now people are revolting. They're spreading things on social media and whatsoever, and his clients are noticed as well, and his business goes to shit. So he comes back to Marco, but now the offer has changed. You know, now the offer is 1 million. Um, and Phil is so desesperated and over and with suffering. He's been having a rough like past couple of weeks, that he says yes. So he ends up selling a $10 million business for 1 million, and he even ends up losing money and still being in debt. He's stopping the hemorrhage, the blood leaking everywhere. And the moral of this story here is that money markles, that's how they make money. Like people ask, um, distressed assets investors, they're pretty brave. Well, no, they just have to find this poor little guy here and make good money off of him. And you have these kinds of entrepreneurs all the time that they think they're the best, but like they realize that, yeah, recession is a reality, and yeah, you can surf the wave, but when there's no waves and you don't generate any energy from your lack of innovation, your lack of preparedness, and so forth, and you're not well equipped psychologically from a mindset perspective to withstand the storm, well, that's when money Marco comes in and acquires your business. And guess what? Money Marco, he acquires the business and he doesn't give a shit about employees, doesn't give a shit about customers. He doesn't have any emotions attached with that. So he just fires everyone. He starts cutting the costs, um, and next thing he does is waiting, and acquire and implement his systems, his technology, his know-how to optimize the business. He's really margin focused, unlike Phil here that wasn't focused on the numbers. He was more of a charismatic founder, a sales guy. And the business comes back to its $2 million valuation. And guess what? They wait 3 years and the business is back at the $10 million valuation. So this guy here, Money Marco, sorry, he decides to sell the business 3 years later and makes 9 million profit with very little time invested. So that's basically how this whole distressed asset private equity game works, acquiring business and selling them at a profit. Hope you guys could enjoy this little story.